How many players should you be having ahead of FPL double game week 33? If you're going to be bench boosting and if you're not going to be bench boosting, what is the best tactic and what is the best solution to getting around FPL game week 33 to get the biggest green arrow you could potentially get this season? This is such a big opportunity this season. We're going to be going through my bench boost team for game week 33, my transfer plans as well. Am I going to be taking a hit? Is it worth taking a hit to bring in these players for a bench boost? If you enjoyed the video, do drop a like down below. It'd be very greatly appreciated. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new around here, it'd be very greatly appreciated. It takes 1 second to hit that subscribe button, and we do daily FPL content. So I want to start off by showing you the current team going into game week 33. Now, we actually have 3 free transfers available to us, as you can see. 0.2 in the bank, and my plan is to potentially take a hit this game week. Now, we're going to be discussing the transfers I'm going to be making and the bench boost at the end of the video as well, the team that I'm planning on setting up with. But the current team has got quite a few double game week players still, but as I say, the transfers will obviously be moving towards double game week players. We're going to be looking at some of the best double game week players to bring in game week 33, in my personal opinion. So already on the double game weeks, we've got Raya, Gabriel, Munoz. We've also got Ismail Assar, marmoush. We've also got Mateta, and then on the bench as well, we have also got Ezri Konsa. We've got Gabriel as well, who will obviously be, of course, a transfer out this week. So as I say, the plan could potentially be to make 4 transfers this week and take a 4-point hit. But as I say, we're definitely going to be making 3 transfers, potentially 4, and we'll discuss the 4 transfers right now. So we'll start off with our defensive transfer. Now, of course, we have Gabriel, as I discussed before. We know he's out for pretty much the whole season now, I'm pretty sure. He's not going to be back anytime soon. So Gabriel will be leaving the team this week. That was always the plan. I didn't want to bench boost in 32. That was never the plan when I hit wildcard. So the plan was always to bring in a different defender for Gabriel in game week 33 for this double game week. Now, there's 2 defenders that I could potentially be moving to. The first one being William Saliba, of course. For me, he has the best double game week fixture. That double game week game against Ipswich and Crystal Palace, a decent enough chance for at least 1 clean sheet, potentially 2. Most likely, we'll be taking 1 clean sheet out of those 2 games if he can get it. But the way Arsenal go, honestly, it feels like they can see just 1 goal every single match. This would make it a double if we brought in Saliba of the Arsenal backline. It would be David Raya and then William Saliba, of course, both having a double game week. Now, the other player I'm considering bringing in for a triple up on Man City, I currently have 2 Man City players in Gabriel and then marmoush. So the player I'm thinking of bringing in could be Ruben Diaz. Now, he's been pretty nailed on in the last few games. He's been the centre-back partner to Gabriel, and I'd imagine Man City will be sticking with that going forward. Now, his double game week is slightly trickier than William Saliba's. So for me, I am starting to lean towards William Saliba. Now, there's question marks over the Arsenal players' minutes, but Saliba's always been pretty much playing whenever he's been fit. So for me, Saliba will keep his place in both of those double game week games. He won't get rotated out for kind of like a weaker side that Arsenal could put out, because obviously they've got the Champions League fixtures as well. But for me personally, I do think William Saliba will be playing both the games in double game week 33. So for me, that makes him a far superior option to a Ruben Diaz for me. So for me, my transfer will most likely be Gabriel out to William Saliba. That will be my defensive transfer. Now, as for my budget midfielder transfer, of course, we currently have Jacob Murphy, who's got off to a decent enough start in the double game week. He got himself an assist in the game against Man United and a 5-pointer, continuing on from his 2 goals that he did score against Leicester. Now, of course, he only has a single game week fixture against Aston Villa away, which, as I say, it's not ideal. I want to be getting as many double game weeks and really trying to attack this double game week as I'm using the bench boost this week and try and sort out, try and get as many points as I can and try and maximise that green arrow that I can potentially get for this double game week 33. So Jacob Murphy will be the one on the way out. He's done great for me since he's come in. Absolutely delighted that I brought him in at the right time. And as I say, he's still got another game yet in game week 32, so we'll see how he gets on against Crystal Palace. But then the player that I will be bringing in is Morgan Rogers. Now, the amount of people that were saying the thing is going to get rotated in game week 32, I never thought this was going to be the case, to be honest. I thought Morgan Rogers, I said, whenever he's fit, Unai Emery wants to play him. Now, he's spoken about potentially giving Rogers a rest, but for me, I don't think he'll do a game. I don't think he'll have a game where he won't start Rogers. I really think Rogers will potentially get subbed off early in a couple of games, maybe going forward with the fixture schedule they've got. They've obviously got another Champions League game. They're in the FA Cup as well, and of course they've got these Premier League fixtures as well. So for me, I do think Morgan Rogers will still be fine for starts. It's just will he play the full 90 minutes? But for me, that's not really too much of an issue. As long as he's playing and starting the matches, that is not an issue at all. Now, it's not an ideal double game week, it's fair to say, for Morgan Rogers. I do wish I just brought him in on wildcard to begin with instead of like a Bruno Fernandes, who I've got in my team personally. But at the end of the day, I've just got to cut my losses and bring in Morgan Rogers at the right time. He's going to be very risky going without him in double game week 33. a lot of people are going to own him. He's in very good form. He's been so good over the course of the season. As I said many times, he's Unai Emery's trusted man. So for me, in terms of a budget midfielder, there's no other question, there's no other option. For me, Morgan Rogers will be making his way into my side. Now, as for my premium midfielder transfer, now we have Cole Palmer going towards Bukayo Saka. Now, this could also be Kevin De Bruyne as well, but I'm more leaning towards Bukayo Saka. Now, as a captaincy option, Saka could be very good. There's no doubt he's got the fixtures of the week, but is he going to get all the minutes? His minutes have been very... Well, he's not had a lot of minutes since he's come back from injury. He's only started one match since coming back from injury, and that was the game against Real Madrid. You'd imagine he'll start the next match in the second leg against Real Madrid again. Obviously, I'm not going to be making any transfers until that game's taken place, and we see what happens with Bukayo Saka's minutes. So Saka's one that I could be bringing in. As I say, Kevin De Bruyne's one that's very interesting and also could potentially be making his way into the side for Cole Palmer. But I am leaning towards Bukayo Saka because I do think with Arsenal not having a Champions League game until after the game week 33, I do think he'll be fine for both of the games in my opinion. Will he get maximum minutes? Probably not. But I do think he'll get a good amount of minutes. And if he's getting a good amount of minutes, if he gets 120 minutes across the two games, that for me is worth a transfer for bringing in Bukayo Saka, in my personal opinion. We still can't absolutely guarantee Kevin De Bruyne's minutes. You'd expect him to keep his place, but with him obviously getting a little bit older now, he's not been as in form over the course of the whole season. Pep Guardiola's kind of had him in and out of the side. Will he absolutely be able to? Well, can I guarantee he's going to be able to keep his place? Absolutely not. And Bukayo Saka longer term as well is one that will be getting more minutes towards the end of the season, you would imagine. Obviously as well, that does depend on how Arsenal do get on in the Champions League as well. You expect them to get through Real Madrid as well, though, to be fair. But for me, I'm thinking Cole Palmer out and Bukayo Saka in as my premium transfer. But as I say, I'm not set on that. I want to see the minutes that Bukayo Saka gets in the Champions League, and we'll have a look and then maybe make the decision later on to the week. It could be Bukayo Saka, it could be Kevin De Bruyne. But for me right now, if Saka gets decent minutes and he looks fine for game week 33, Bukayo Saka will most likely be the player that I'll be bringing in. Now, as for the forward transfer, this is where do I take a hit, do I not take a hit? I'm obviously, this is another one that I'm going to have to wait and see on and see what happens in the Champions League. Now, Ollie Watkins came on off the bench against Southampton, and he really did make an impact. Villa weren't doing great against Southampton. They were kind of struggling to get that opening goal. Ollie Watkins comes on. He was the difference maker in that game. Villa looked much better once Ollie Watkins did make his way onto the field. Now, it's obviously, as I say, it's very risky. Aston Villa are up top. They've obviously got Rashford up top. They've got Watkins, who obviously came on. They've got Marlon, who can do a job in any kind of position out there, who can come in and out the side. You've got Asensio, you've got Rodgers, you've got Leon Bailey as well. You've got so many players in there, and just that attacking third for Aston Villa, which makes this a very risky transfer. And then you factor in as well the fact that I'll be taking a 4-point hit to do this move. Is it really worth it? Now, if Ollie Watkins is going to be starting both the games, for me, I do think it's worth the hit. Now, obviously, as I say, I can't guarantee that, but it could be a 120 minutes if you get that out of Ollie Watkins over a 90-minute isak with two fixtures. I am leaning towards the Ollie Watkins shot. I don't actually mind the fixtures against the Newcastle and Man City. I think defensively, Man City can definitely be got at. We saw against Crystal Palace that was the case. Palace were really good in the opening first half in that game, won the opening 30 minutes. And Newcastle do concede an odd goal here and there. They're not exactly the most watertight defence as well. And Aston Villa going forward are a very decent side as well. So for me, Ollie Watkins, if he gets the minutes, is a great transfer. But as I say, that's the one that I'm just not sure on. I don't know whether to keep Isak or bring in Ollie Watkins. So that's the current situation. That would be the points hit if we were to take it. The other three transfers are pretty much locked in terms of who I'm getting rid of. It's just not 100% sure who I'm going to be bringing in for those players. But those are the four transfers that I'm considering making. And we'll just have a look at my team when I set that team up for double game week 33. How it'll look, how many players I've got on the bench boost, how many players I recommend on the bench boost, and is it worth taking points hits to actually bring in players to get extra double game week players. So as you can see on screen now is the team that we would have currently set up for game week 33 if I did activate those transfers. Now, captaincy wise, we'll just start off with that. There's a few decent options for captaincy. Bukayo Saka, obviously, we're not guaranteed in his minutes. I think Omar Marmoush is more likely to get more minutes than Saka. Saka's got the fixtures over Omar Marmoush in my opinion, but I do think Marmoush, who's getting that extra, say he gets an extra 30 minutes than Bukayo Saka, it's got to play a part in captaincy for me. So Marmoush is someone that I am leaning towards personally as captain. We'll discuss that a bit later on in detail later in the week, but Marmoush has been very good, of course. So as you can see, the starting 11 is actually 11 double game week players. Of course, we're taking that 4-point hit on the screen. You've got Ollie Watkins coming in for a double game week there. You've got Rodgers coming in for a double game week. We've got triple Aston Villa, triple Crystal Palace, triple Arsenal, and double Man City. That's the current situation that we've got in that team. With the bench as well, you can see there, we're going to be bench boosting, and the bench boost will be Areola against Southampton, very nice fixture, as good a fixture you can get. So I'm hoping that Areola can maybe get a clean sheet in that game. And then we've also got Bruno Fernandes against Wolves. Now, I could have bench boosted last week and had Bruno Fernandes against Newcastle. I wasn't really expecting a return from Bruno. In a game against Wolves, Wolves have been in very good form recently, to be fair to them. But a home game for United, Bruno Fernandes has been on penalties. He's not had a return for a while. He always seems to get something, doesn't he, Bruno? I know he's had weeks where he's blanked a few weeks in a row. But eventually, the class does show and he does eventually start getting them points again. So for me, I'm quite confident in Bruno Fernandes, to be honest, this week. I'm actually really happy to own him going into game week 33. So Bruno Fernandes is someone that's going to be a big differential for me this week on that bench boost. Then, of course, we have Mo Salah as well, who's got a single game week game against Leicester. Honestly, as a captain's shout, I'd always favour the player that's got a double game week, but I wouldn't be 100% against the Mo Salah captaincy against Leicester. Obviously, I'm not doing it in my personal team, but if you really wanted to back Salah, he's got an unbelievable fixture. Leicester defensively aren't good. I mean, they played very well against Brighton last game, but overall, under Ruud van Nistelrooy, they've been nothing short of shambolic. So then our third player on the bench would be Dan Burn against Aston Villa. That's the one player where I'm like, I'm not exactly the most confident in Dan Burn. I don't expect anything from him. But I look at the other three players and I think, do I think Areola can get a clean sheet against Southampton? Yes. Do I think Bruno Fernandes can score against Wolves? Yes. Do I think Mo Salah can return against Leicester? Of course I do. Now, of course, as I say, it could be Alisson to Isak that could be sat on the bench. We might not bring in Ollie Watkins. It might be Alisson to Isak sat on the bench or for that bench boost against Aston Villa. And Isak against Villa wouldn't surprise me if he returned as well. Like, even though he's not been great, Isak recently, he's been struggling for goals. Newcastle scored 8 goals in a row. Well, in Newcastle's last 8 goals, Alisson to Isak hasn't actually scored any of the goals. And he is kind of playing with what the rumour is, he's playing with a knock as well. He's not exactly 100% fit and firing. So it's another reason to maybe move on Isak if he's not on top of his game. But again, as I say, it really wouldn't surprise me. And I wouldn't be angry bench boosting with Alisson to Isak sat on my bench against Aston Villa as well, to be honest. So is it worth taking a hit to bring in a double game week player? Depends on what situation you're in and what player you're bringing in, how guaranteed their minutes are. I do think for me, Ollie Watkins is a little bit of a risky transfer in. But if your team's in a situation where you've not got that many double game week players, maybe you've not got a full 11 or you've just got maybe 8 or 9 double game weeks. If you want to take a hit and you're getting rid of a player that's got a tough fixture or just someone that you don't really back to return and you want to bring in a double game week player, I think it's a perfect opportunity to do it, to be honest. You get an extra 2 points, of course, for the appearance if their players are nailed on to play. So I think it's a great opportunity to potentially take a points hit. So for me, I'm very much considering it. And I'm a manager that doesn't really take many points hits at all. I've taken about 1 all season. This would be my second points hit of the season. As I say, I'm pretty against hits, but if it's in a double game week game, there's a big opportunity to make up, and it's a big opportunity for a green arrow if your player that you bring in does perform over them 2 games in double game week 33. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. If you've watched this point, you may as well hit subscribe. It takes 1 second, and it would really mean a lot to me. Do join the club. Get yourself watching some more FPL content of mine. It'd be very greatly appreciated. Anyway, that'll about do for the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.